Hey BridgePoint, so we're putting together this video because we wanted to talk with you about a recent change and a decision that we've made, and we always try to make a solid effort to be transparent and vulnerable and tell you the why behind the decisions that we make, because we're not hiding anything and you deserve to know that as our church body. So talking about worship, Pastor William and I were having a conversation earlier about what worship means. I think we don't go there enough as a church. It's so easy to just fall into the rhythms of singing songs and not thinking about what we're doing. But the word worship itself literally means to ascribe worth to God, to tell him that he is worthy, that you are worthy. And so we believe that worship matters, particularly in a song context on Sunday morning. It's not just music, it's not just singing songs. We are ascribing greatness to the Lord and talking about who he is, what he's done for us, and our relationship with him. So we've always really tried to take a lot of time on picking the songs that we do and making sure that they're lyrically, doctrinally, and theologically sound, and that the message behind them is also doctrinally and theologically sound. That's very important to us. We've always done that. All of the songs, if you've sung a song at BridgePoint on Sunday morning, you can take confidence in the fact that we've spent a lot of time vetting that before we actually sang it on the stage on Sunday. That being said, over the past few months, it's come to our attention and kind of been on the radar that some of the teaching that is coming out of the churches whose bands and music ministries have written a lot of the songs that we do at BridgePoint. Some of the teaching coming out of those churches and movements is a little bit problematic. I say a little bit, in some cases a little bit, and in other cases a lot problematic as far as what they're teaching and their doctrine. And so because we care so much about you guys, and because we care so much about honoring God with what we sing and what we say in church, it's caused us to step back and be a little bit more cautious. We feel like it's better to err on the side of caution and really evaluate and reevaluate some of the sources for what we use for worship on Sunday mornings from a song perspective. The difficult thing about it is, as we went back and looked at the songs, none of the songs themselves were problematic as far as the theology, the doctrine, or what they say about God. They're all very positive songs. Like I said, we spent a lot of time making sure that they were okay first. But at the end of the day, we just did not have an ease in our spirits about continuing to sing songs that come from sources where there is questionable teaching and doctrine coming out of there. We believe we have a responsibility where you're concerned for us to shepherd and lead you well, and to shepherd and lead you into truth. And we would never want to even unintentionally lead you astray or towards questionable doctrine. So because of that, with all of that in mind, we've decided to press pause on using material from various sources. We're not going to say names of churches or pastors or anything like that right now, just because we're not in the church bashing business or the preacher bashing business. That's not the point of this. That's not what we're after. If you have specific questions about sources or things like that, we'd be more than willing to talk with you about that. Because like I said, we're not hiding anything, but I really want to make sure that what you hear is us leading from the positive, not the negative, and that we want to do songs from sources that are theologically and doctrinally sound, and that at the end of the day we can step back and say, I have a peace and a 100% confidence in us playing and singing this song in front of you and leading you to worship along with this song. So it doesn't mean that we 100% will do those songs again. It doesn't mean that we 100% will not do those songs again. It means that in this season, myself, Pastor William, and the elders are going to be doing some serious scripture searching, seeking God's will and His face, and just His desire for us as a church as far as the songs that we're singing, and that they be God honoring. And so as far as the future is concerned, what you can expect, there are a few things you can expect. I want to make sure you know that. One, this has to do with doctrine of ministries. This has nothing to do with style or preference. So if you have enjoyed the style of worship that we've had over the years at BridgePoint, that's not going away, and I don't want you to worry about that. That in no way denigrates churches who do it differently, but the way that we've done it has been very intentional. And so from a style and preference standpoint, BridgePoint's going to keep doing what we've been doing. There still is plenty of music that we've done in the past that we are going to continue to do. So that would be the second thing that I want you to know, is that the entire catalog or library of songs is not going away. It's just some of the songs and some of the material. And then the last thing that I would want you to know is that this is not a one and done thing. This is not just wiping the slate clean of a few songs and then calling it good. This is a dedication to an effort of being methodical and very cautious about the material that we use in our church. And so every song from here on out, we're going to be vetting, and not just the lyrical content, but also going back to the source, where it comes from, and what those sources say and believe about God. So we hope that this is something that you understand and can be in support of, and understand that it's not from a legalist or a nitpicking standpoint. You know that's not who we are, and that's not what we do, but we are called to a higher standard as teachers and overseers, and it matters to us that we're caring for you well, and that's what we're trying to do in this. So in the coming days, if you have questions for me, for Pastor William, or for any of the elders, we have an open door policy on that, and we'd love to talk with you and lead you in that.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to what Kevin has talked about, in addition to encouraging anyone that has questions to bring them to Kevin, to bring them to myself, and reiterate that open book, nothing to hide, want to be as transparent as possible. Mindful of John chapter 4, when Jesus has an encounter with a Samaritan woman about worship, and she makes worship about a position. The Jews worshiping on Mount Zion, the Samaritans worshiping on Mount Gerizim, and Jesus says, no, you worship what you do not know. We worship what we know. And then a famous passage about worshiping God in spirit and in truth. And so the heart of worship being truly our hearts, worshiping God with our spirits. You can raise your hands, sing songs, and your hearts be far from God. And there is a direct connection to knowledge, that you cannot worship what you do not know. And the more that we know God, the more that we learn of Him and discover Him as He has revealed Himself to us in His Word, the more we are driven with hearts in worship. And so the knowledge of God matters. And in that way, being as precise and as clear as we can be with what we're saying back to God and what we're learning about Him in the songs that we're singing is why this is truly a big deal, a major issue. And so for me, I'm excited about how God has been leading Kevin. I am thrilled about how He is leading us, and it is certainly not to demean anything that's been said or done here in the past. It's about trying to be as precise and as clear as we can be in knowing God through His Word and the music that we're singing, for the sake of our spirits and hearts, ascribing to Him, as you said, the glory that is due His name. And He will be honored in that. He is going to be pleased as we seek to worship Him in spirit and in truth.